The Kingdom of Rwanda is an East African nation located north of Burundi and south of Uganda. The country has experienced steady economic growth over the previous 2 decades. However, before the year 1990, they were unable to accomplish great achievements due to its continuous struggle between its people that led to a long civil war. Long before the country's inception, the land is known as the Kingdom of Rwanda. The kingdom is populated by 2 ethnicity groups, which are the Hutus and the Tutsis. The minority Tutsis were the governing monarchy, while the majority Hutus were peasants to the noble. During the Belgian colonization of Rwanda in World War II, the Belgians started to introduce an ethnicity category in Rwandan identification card in order to segregate Hutus and Tutsis. At this time, the majority power were given to the minority Tutsis, and they were favored in education, housing, and work. After World War II, receiving instructions from the United Nations, the Belgians started to shift their rule in order to work for an independent Rwanda and majority rule. After this time, Belgium started to give major political power to Hutus, and the Tutsi monarchy is no more. This arises to greater conflict between the 2 ethnicities. In the following years, acts of violence between the 2 ethnicity groups rose significantly. Guerrilla warfare, assassination attempts, and murders were rampant in Rwanda. Acts of violence from both sides contributed to political instability in the region. All of these terrible events continued until the 1990s Rwandan Civil War, which ultimately led to the year 1994 of Rwandan Genocide, which is considered to be the most terrible war event after World War II.
This paper is different from the other paper because it contains many different views from multiple resources about the main topic. It is the result of study between different interpretations of the topic regarding the Rwanda genocide. This paper mainly focuses on the justification of the topic chosen, data and discussion showing the minority, plus the explanation about the topic reflecting relation with other countries, which could be unilateral or multilateral relation. The results are compared, summarized, and compiled together, while other papers only focus on 1 or 2 specific aspects. The advantages of this paper are that it contains many data and statistics from different papers.
Okay, the reason why we are doing this research is to enlighten the masses about the devastating effects that genocide can have on the world and the people living in it. Obviously, when talking about genocides, we already know of how massive the scale of the disaster is. But even though it should be so clear, some people just turn a blind eye and ignore the incident altogether, like it doesn't affect them. If more and more people adapt this mentality, it could spell disaster for our country and even Earth itself. Genocide, to put into simple terms, is the mass eradication of a group of people, be it a religious group or even an entire race, with the goal to fully destroy said group. From the definition itself, we can understand that genocides are unacceptable, and any problems or conflicts should most definitely not be solved by using this method. Our report is to focus on the effects that genocides can cause to the current state of the economy, and more specifically about the Rwandan genocide. It should be said that these facts should be known to the public so we can avoid any catastrophe that we can otherwise avoid had we known the impact that genocide can have on the economy. When a country's economy is failing, it affects the entire population of the country, causing lives to be lost while destroying others. Therefore, we find it extremely important to make public of the effects that genocide can have on the economy to ensure that we don't have to suffer the consequences. Thank you.
Today, I will explain about the minority. So minority people, or we can refer as minority groups, were the category of people who maybe experience less in terms of sociality benefits, or we can say they get a different kind of treatment in the country or in the society compared to the dominant groups. Back to the genocide of Rwanda. we can say that there is an ethnic tension between the majority group in Rwanda, which is the Hutus, with the minority group Tutsis. Additionally, there is a lot of disagreement between these two groups since the colonial periods began. There are three largest groups in Rwanda. The first one, the largest one is the Hutus, followed by the Tutsis and also Twa. By facts, Hutu group is approximately covers around 84% of Rwandan population, while the Tutsis only around 14 to 15% of Rwandan population. As I said before, the minority group often referred as the community that technically have a less number of population in the community. However, they are also usually being characterized with some physical aspect, such as the Tutsis are usually being said they are usually taller and thinner compared to the Hutus. During the genocide, the Hutu extremists killed approximately around 800,000 of Rwandans and mostly it's Tutsis. Meanwhile, 30% of Twa also being killed by the Hutus during the genocide. To support this idea, we can say that, or to contrast this idea, we can say that the Hutus is trying to using their power to eliminate completely the minority group, which before have a lot of disagreement with them. The Hutus also provide some prize, like food and money, for those who kill the Tutsis during the genocide. And also, the legal authorities such as police and soldiers also encourage the citizens to kill a Tutsis, even though they are their neighborhoods. And also, the legal authorities provide them with military equipment during the genocide. For conclusion, we can say that the mass killing of Tutsis is one of the largest history to show to the world that the minority groups always being discriminated and also treated unfairly compared to the dominant group.
One of the colonial powers in Rwanda was Belgium, and they also had a deep connection with their governments before decolonization and even after. They mostly composed by Belgian soldiers because their main connection was in United Nations Assistance Mission of Rwanda that called UNAMIR. The Belgian General Information and Security Service were unable to act on the Habyarimana regime, and they had previous knowledge of the genocidal intention until it was too late. Before that, in 1916, the Belgian colonists arrived, and they introduced identity card for classifying people according to their ethnicity. According to them, the Tutsis to be superior to the Hutus, and not unexpected, the Tutsis welcomed this idea. Tutsis have window of opportunity, like have a better job and academic than Hutus after 20 years of Belgian colonies introduced identification card. A series of riots in 1959 had gradually built up because of resentment among the Hutus. Most of the Tutsis, around 20,000 people, were killed, and some of them were running away to their neighboring countries like Burundi, Tanzania, and Uganda.
During the event of Rwanda genocide, many parts of the world stayed silent and hoped to avoid death and political entanglement. However, after the news of the genocide were made public by the media, United Nations Security Council sent more than a few thousands of troops. However, there were delays and denials that caused the troops to arrive late, months after the genocide was over. Many government officials were surprised about the world's ignorance to the event. In July 1993, United Nations Assistance Mission for Rwanda, UNAMIR, Force Commander General Romeo Dallaire was provided with very little information about the Rwanda genocide. With very limited information, the mission was planned poorly, and they were provided with less experienced people. After the assassination of the president, Romeo Dallaire's call for reinforcement was denied. By April 10, it was clear that the non-offensive plan was a failure to stop the genocide. As an alternative, Canada received a new role in genocidal prevention. It is to act under the United Nations Charter as they consider appropriate to prevent and suppress the violent acts of genocide. This resulted in Canada able to act to stop the future
future possible genocides. Thank you.
I'll be talking about the France role in Rwanda. The France led an operation called the Operation Right, and this operation's objective was for the French army to train the Rwandan troops, which were later known as the Interahamwe militia. And later, the president of Rwanda, President Genocide, he had a scheme which was against the Rwandan Patriotic Front, which was supported by France also. Right? And in 1994, April 8th, there was an operation which was held by France. This operation's objective was to gain the permit for the secure evacuation of the victims. And among the victims, mostly the victims were the Westerners. On April 8th, 1994, 2 days after the assassination of President Genocide, France held an operation called Operation Amaryllis. The objective of this operation was to gain the permit for the secure evacuation of the victims. Now the victims mostly were the Westerners, and the survivors, the Rwandan survivors, were upset because of this, because they thought that the French only supported the Western people, and were thinking that this operation was just useless. And this wasn't the only time the Rwandan people were against the French authority. Shortly after the Operation Right was launched, the survivors were against this and many controversies popped up, saying that the French were part of the tragic genocide, and were also participated in the killings. In 2008, the independent Rwandan commission stated that the Rwandans knew or were aware of the 1994 genocide and helped the Hutus militia by training them, and also participated in the planning of the genocide and killing. In 2014, April 6th, President Paul Kagame, he stated that and devised charges against the French, saying that the Belgians and the French had a role in this tragic genocide.
To conclude this discussion, the Rwandan genocide marks a black and truly horrifying event that occurs for around 100 days in the past 20 years past Cold War history. The inner conflict of the Rwandan community, which mainly caused by the majority and the minority conflict of the Rwandan community itself, such as the unfair treatment from the Tutsis during the German colonization, and also the abuse of power by the Hutus when the Belgium came and left Rwanda. In short, the Hutus and Tutsis did get along together until the Hutus became biased against the Tutsis during the Belgium ruling, that causing turmoil and suffering to both of the ethnic groups. This conflict could not have been resolved without the initiative from the Tutsi itself, which to overthrow the Hutus, and then the outside initiative from the United Nations and also the France, Canada and Belgium to solve this problem. This horrifying event should have not occur again in our community and society by any degree or means.
Even though the genocide that happened in 1994 that lasts for around 100 days did resolve, the hatred and the bloodshed that happens between Hutus and Tutsis still lingers within them today. In our opinion, the surrounding authorities from other countries around them should have helped to resolve the conflict between this. to ensure there's less victims of the genocides. The genocide wouldn't happen if there's no colonial anyway. This poor ruling of the colonizers that come is the one that caused the genocide to happen, and the future ruler of Rwanda should have take care of the relationship between the Tutsis and Hutus to make sure this genocide wouldn't happen again. We should have take lesson from this genocide so that it wouldn't happen to our surrounding, to our country. This can help to bring peace to all the countries that take lesson on this genocide.